You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
Hey guys, welcome out to the I can't talk. Welcome in to the Outspoken Sportscast. We got your special pre-draft edition with Ryan Sims. Ryan Sims, go ahead and introduce yourself, buddy.
Hey, man, I'm so happy to be back. Thanks for having me back. I know that we talked about the playoffs. You had me on, and we went through all of our playoff predictions, and we were both terribly wrong.
Yes.
Neither one of us had the Rams winning it, and neither one of us had the Bengals making it to the Super Bowl at all, much less them having the chance to win it. And so I'm so glad to be back on with you. And I'm sure after we see the draft this week, you'll see how wrong I was on the draft as well. Because here's the thing. We both know when it comes to draft and it comes to football, there's really nobody that can guess it 100% accurate. And so I'm absolutely obsessed with the NFL draft. In fact, I told my wife, do not bother me Thursday night, do not bother me Friday night, and do not bother me on Saturday morning when the 4th through 7th rounds are going. I'm like, during the draft, you do not have a husband. Okay. And so I love it. Dude, I actually, if I'm being honest, I enjoy the draft more than I do the regular season. That's probably pretty crazy because I guess, your hopes get crushed during the season. And so, like, during this process, you can hope that you're going to go find a Micah Parsons. You can hope that you're going to go find a Devontae Adams in a later round. You hope that you can go find that guy. You hope that an Aaron Rodgers falls to you at 24, which is what the Cowboys are picking at this year. And so the history of 24
it's pretty
is
good. Pretty good.
We got Des Bryant at 24. Y'all got Aaron Rodgers at 24. So there is some good history for pick number 24. And so I'm just excited about, of course, I'm a Cowboys fan, so I'm excited about to see what the Cowboys are going to do. And I'll reference some guys for any Cowboys fans you might have watching, which probably quite a few since you're from this area.
Yes.
And, maybe one of these days I'll get you wearing a star hat over there.
No, that'll never happen.
You said the same thing, brother, about we'll never take off the Lakers hat to wear a Dallas Mavericks one, and here you are.
Yeah, we'll get into that maybe in a little bit. But this is exactly why we have Ryan on the show. He, especially for the draft, this is his Super Bowl. So buckle in, guys. We got a good show for you right after this. All right, guys. My buddy Ryan Sims here is so invested into the NFL draft, and it's a great time of year and looking forward to it 100%. But he has gone ahead and made his own top 40 that contradicts some of the other big boards we have out there. So Ryan's going to take over here and kind of give us his players and why he put them in a spot. I might question some of those, we'll jump right into it. Ryan, go ahead.
So it should be a really fun show. We're going to talk about the top 40. And the reason I decided to go top 40 and not top 32 or top 50 is because we're going to have some fun at the end of the show. We're going to go do a first round mock for you, and we're going to be completely wrong, but it'll be great. But I just wanted to give you 40 possible names that we could see called on night one of the draft. And so these are 40 names that I think that you will hear 32 of them. And so there could be a wild card in there. I might have missed one or two that, because you never know what a team like the Bengals are going to do. You never know what a team like the Chicago Bears are going to do. Thankfully, John Gruden can't draft anymore because, man, that guy was a wild card. He would take third round graded players in the first round. And so Oakland would always mess up your drafts. And so, I just want to take a look at guys that could go in the top 40 so that we could see, like, hey, night one, who could my team be calling? What players can I be looking at? And so I'm going to go through my top 40, and you can disagree with me. And Brian, you can interject at any point. But my number one player in the draft, and I'll be looking at my notes, some of the notes that I have here on the player as we're going along. But my number one pick is Kayvon Thibodeau. And now here's the deal. He is my number one rated player. He's an edge out of Oregon. He's 6'4", 254 pounds. He needs to continue filling out his frame. He's a little small for NFL size edge, but dude is a stud. He's an athlete. He can run. He can rush upfield with urgency. This dude is a war daddy, as Jerry Jones would call it. He is the ultimate definition of a defensive end. He's a guy you want on your team. Now, I have him number one. I think there's zero chance of him going number one overall. Are you muted right now? I can't hear you, Brian.
My bad. Yes. You think there's zero chance he goes number one?
I think there's absolutely zero chance he goes number one. And here's why. He has a chance to fall down the board a bit. And here's why. He just has a weird personality. It's not that it's a bad personality. It's not like he has off the field trouble or anything like that. It's just like when teams were interviewing him, he just seemed different. He's just wired different. He's focused on business. He's focused on revenue. He's focused on money. He's focused on shoe deals and all those things. And he kind of rubs some scouts the wrong way. And so some experts actually think because of him just being different, and the NFL just doesn't know what to do with different. There's nothing wrong with this guy whatsoever. He's a stud athlete. And at the end of the college season, before they did the combine, he was surefire lock, number one pick. There was no question. And now a report leaked today for you Cowboys fans that if he slips to around that 10 range, the Cowboys would be looking to possibly move up to go land a premier pass rusher like itself to match with Micah Parsons and Tank Lawrence. Now, I don't know that I want to do that. Giving up a 2 and a 3 but man, you can't forget a number. Man, you get those three edges together. Yeah. That's scary.
He's a beast. I've seen him. I don't know all the guys on your list,
right?
But I do know who this guy is, and he's an absolute stud out there in Oregon and is a beast. I thought he would be going number one. I know. What's the other guy you have here, number two? I know Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan is also getting a lot of looks at the number one spot. Is that who you got going number one?
So I do think Aiden Hutchinson will go number one to Jacksonville, and he's the number 2 player on my board, and rightfully so. He's a great player, edge out of Michigan, 6'6", 260 pounds. What's cool about Hutchinson is he wins in a lot of ways. This guy beats people. He shows up in big games. He's battle tested. He's played a lot of big games. And dude, I would love to have this type of guy on my team. But I just think the difference is Thibodeau is just a little bit more athletic. I think Thibodeau's got a little bit more bends in his movement. And I just think Thibodeau just wins more, gets better players than this guy does. But you can't go wrong with either player. Aiden Hutchinson made it to the playoff, and he was a big reason of why the team made it to the playoff. And I know Jim Harbaugh says that he's one of his absolute favorite guys that he's ever coached in Aiden Hutchinson. And so that's a big deal from an NFL experienced coach. And so big guy, NFL frame ready. So when you talk about, the difference between Thibodeau and Hutchinson, Hutchinson's 260 pounds and Thibodeau's like 250. So I think Thibodeau, and he's a little bit shorter. So I think Thibodeau needs to add about 10 pounds probably, which NFL team will easily do to him.
Oh yeah.
But Aiden Hutchinson was born to play football. He is
His
6'6".
country looks like his country strong there.
Yeah, he is a 6'6". I do think Aiden Hutchinson could go number one, but actually, I'm going to back off that a little bit. I think he has a 45% chance to go number one. And the other person that I think has the ability to compete for the number one, and I actually, if I'm leaning today, if I'm a betting man today, this is our number one overall pick in the NFL draft, and he's the number 3 guy on my board, and it's Trayvon Walker. And here's why. So the Jaguars have a history, their GM has a history of drafting by the traits, okay? So let me pull up before I get in there, I like to, let you know where he's from. He plays for Georgia, edge, 6'5", 272, has rare just skills that we don't see. Dude is just an athletic freak, okay? And so his traits are just not through the roof. Like when you talk about a guy that can do well for himself by testing and his measurables and his athletic skills, this is Trayvon Walker. And the GM for Jacksonville has a history of drafting athletic traits over tape, okay? And
Yes,
so that can get you in some trouble. We both know that, because if I'm a guy that the tape matters,
yes.
okay? What they do at the combine, that's a plus. And so what about you? What do you think? Would you rather have a guy have crazy athletic traits or better tape?
No, I want better tape. I want a guy that shows the intangibles. That's going to show up, and a lot of the combine, some of it matters, some of it doesn't. I'm not a big on the combine aspect of it, but no, if I'm watching tape, I'm watching his college tape, I'm watching the reps he took against big teams and big games, and I want to see him have those repetitions and what he does and what his contributions were to those big games. And coming out now, the other stuff, if you got a guy that's got good tape and then has the freak
now we're
abilities,
just living a pipe dream, because you want a unicorn is what you're telling me, Brian. You want a unicorn.
I do. Every pick,
a unicorn,
Parsons baby.
Is what you're telling me.
Yes, Michael Parsons that's a unicorn. Yes, you can keep rubbing that in.
So man,
the beast.
Dude, such a beast. Here's the thing that's funny about this year's draft, and I should have probably prefaced this at the beginning of it. So last year, the top of the draft was top heavy loaded. I mean, you can go look back at, the top 12 picks last year, and you got Jamar Chase and Micah Parsons and Patrick Surtain, and you've got all these guys that are just star-studded. Like you basically, like Rashawn Slater, the first 12 picks, 13 picks of the draft were like, you could not miss last year.
So star-studded that the Cowboys got CeeDee Lamb somehow.
Well, that was 2 years ago.
Oh, was it? It was 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was 2020 draft. And 2021, I was talking about with Micah Parsons, Jamar Chase. Yeah, that was just straight. The 6th overall guy on the board fell to us at 17. It was just crazy amazing. But last year was very heavy, star-loaded. You had just all these guys you could not miss at the top, basically. You couldn't mess it up by any of the picks that you made. However, after that point, the draft was not near as deep as this draft is. So this draft is completely the opposite of last year's draft. This draft is not star power loaded like last year's was, but there is way more depth. And so what I mean by that, from number 1 to number 40, there's not a huge difference. Whereas last year, from 12 to 40 was a huge difference. There's just so much. You're going to get a really good player no matter where you pick in the first round, because it's so loaded with depth, not as loaded with star power potential, but you're going to get some very, very good players in this draft. And so I think Trayvon Walker, as the 3rd guy on my board, I think he has a 55% chance. So I just lean just a little bit over Hutchinson because of the history of the GM picking athletic traits. He has a lot more that he needs to work on. His pass finishing moves, like with Thibodeau and Hutchinson, the pass rushing traits are already there. With Walker, you can see glimpses of it. You can see highlights of it. You can see that the potential is there. And then when he goes and does his athletic testing, it's so much better than Thibodeau's Hutchinson. So you just think, man, if I can coach this guy, he could be the best defensive end in the draft. And And not to mention, so the top 3 guys on my board are all defensive ends. So this is a defensive end loaded draft. This is not a QB loaded draft. This is a terrible draft if you
for
need a
QBs.
quarterback. You need to wait till next year, which is why the Eagles, I think, purposely traded one of their 3 first-round picks so that they could have 2 shots at it next year because they knew they weren't going to get their quarterback this year. So my top 3 guys are all defensive ends, and so that leads me to continue on to my 4th overall guy on my board, and we're going to stay in the trenches. Do you have anything to say about defensive ends?
Well, as you say, this is a defensive end loaded draft. This is also getting into your next 3 guys on the board, an offensive line loaded draft as well. So why don't you go on?
If you need to shore up the trenches, if you need to shore up your O-line, you need to shore up your D-line. This is yes. But you're not going to pass up on a defensive end because that's the second most important position behind quarterback that we know. So that he's the quarterback of your defense. So either one, like if we traded up, like the rumor that was leaked today that if Thibodeau starts to fall, like we saw Rodgers fall several years back, I'd like to rub that in your face a little bit, but you ended up with him because of it.
I'll take it any day.
Yeah. But if we see a free fall, you could see a team like the Cowboys, or you could see a team like the Eagles with 2 first-round picks go up there and pick a guy like that. And because I think he's going to be a 10-sack guy year 1. I really do. And so my 4th guy is Evan Neal. And so Evan Neal, he's out of Alabama. He's 6'8", 337 pounds.
Semi-truck.
This guy can play offensive tackle or guard in the NFL. Obviously, tackle is much more valuable than guard. And so he is going to be somebody's tackle for a long, long, long time in the sleeve. This guy is very athletic, very flexible, very fluid. He's an immediate NFL starter with Pro Bowl potential, I think, day 1. And so I think this guy is a lock. He is the best lineman in my draft. I know some other guys might think Ekwonu is a little bit better, and I know some boards even have Ekwonu as number 2 over a guy, but I think Evan Neal is the best lineman in this draft, and I don't think it's close, Brian. So if this guy could really be a fit for a team like the Giants, who have the 5th and 7th overall pick, I would hate to play that guy. But they know that the Cowboys are loaded with pass rushers. They know that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to always have a great defensive line because that's what they do. Washington has a great defensive line. So if I'm the Giants, I'm trying to prepare for that. And I think Evan Neal could be a pick here. And so, man, he does so well as a drive blocker. He has balance. Man, this guy, he's the next Tyron Smith.
Not much. I mean, yeah. I mean, you're talking singing praises to this guy.
And he's Alabama. And so Alabama just produces pro-ready guys every single year. It doesn't matter the position. These guys are ready to play when they get here. Especially
the offensive line, too.
Yes.
And why are they offensive line and wide receiver? If I got a guy coming out of Alabama, I know it's going to be a for sure thing. Safety, not so much with Green Bay and Clinton Dix, but that's beside the point. Who's your number?
We tried to sign him and give him a shot, man. He didn't even make it to our roster. We cut him after training camp.
Yeah, he was bad. All right, who's your number 5?
My number 5 is Ekwonu out of North Carolina State. He's 6'4", 310 pounds. This dude is a mauler. Okay, like this guy is a dump truck. Like this guy will knock you on your butt. Like I was watching some of his tape the other day, and I've never seen more pancakes in one game than watching this guy. I mean, I love Neil, but man, this guy is really, 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 really good, and he'll make any team that drafts him really good. Obviously, he could play offensive tackle or guard, but in the NFL, offensive tackle is the more valuable position. So somebody's going to hit this guy tackle and not even blink twice, and they're going to be very, very happy with this pick. And so continuing with linemen, Charles Cross. And so this is a guy that I think no matter what is a top 10 pick, but I think he could this is a guy that could potentially even fall down to into the 10 to 15 range. And if he falls there, a team is going to find them a very, very good player. And the reason I think he could fall, because you never know when a team is going to draft a quarterback over the better player.
Yeah.
And so if you start seeing quarterbacks in this terrible draft class of quarterbacks, if you start seeing quarterbacks get drafted early, you're going to see a guy like Charles Cross fall and then land to somebody like the Cowboys just landed on the best defensive player in the draft last year because people were quarterback hungry. We had 3 quarterbacks go in the top 10 last year, and you had people, the Bears trade up for Fields and take our cornerback. Thank God they took the cornerback from us, because I'm so glad we got Micah Parsons. And so you could see something like that happen with Charles Cross here, but he's a tackle only. Mississippi State, 6'5", 307 pounds. He's got average athleticism, but he's the third best tackle in this draft. And remember, defensive end and tackle are the most valuable positions on the defensive line. It's the most valuable position on the offensive line. This is the third best tackle in the draft, in my opinion. And because of position need and the position importance, he'll find himself in the top 10, and people will be very, very happy with him because he's a day one starter in the NFL.
The guy you have next, I'm all about that sauce, buddy.
You're all about that sauce?
Throw the sauce on everything.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about Sauce Gardner, quarterback out of Cincinnati?
Sauce Gardner is the 7th guy on my board, but if you look in mocks, you'll find him top 5 in a lot of mock drafts. If you're looking around, best cornerback in the draft, in my opinion. We'll talk about another corner around my 14th pick, and I'll tell you why. But to me, it's not even close. Sauce Gardner took Cincinnati to the playoff.
Yeah. He didn't allow a touchdown, right?
Yeah. No. Shut down, lockdown corner, 6'3", 190, long-bodied, long arms, super athletic guy. Man, dude is just a baller. He shows up on the field, and he takes half of it away. And so I do think that I think he'll get lots of interceptions. I do think that he will get lots of picks. And I think, I think his comp is Jalen Ramsey. I think he's going to be that good, and he's bigger. And he's bigger than Jalen Ramsey. And so just as athletic, I think he's a lockdown number 1 corner, best one in the draft. It's not even close.
And he plays with that confidence.
Yes.
He plays with that swagger on the field. I've seen some of his games, and he is one heck of a player. And what an amazing nickname, man.
Yeah. He's just going to give you the sauce all the time. Number 8.
A safety out of Notre Dame.
So 8, okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of an asterisk on this one. Okay. I have him at number 8, and the only reason I have him at number 8 is because I feel like I had to put him there. And here's what I mean by that. When I watch his tape, when I watch his highlights, me personally, I don't see a top 10 player. Okay? I don't. I do think he is going to go top 10. I do think we will see him going in the first round. But I put him here because I saw every mock draft out there. I saw every expert. They put him in the top 10. But for me, I would be pissed if my team picked him in the top 10. I do think he's a first-round talent. I do think he's the best safety in this draft. But I don't think safety is a position that you pick in the top 10 of the draft. Safety is a position that you wait till the second round, or if you're a late pick in the first round, because it doesn't. My Cowboys fandom is going to show out because we never prioritize this position. But safety is the least important position on the defensive field. Now, however, so Kyle Hamilton, safety, Notre Dame, 6'4", 220, is super long, athletic, super size. He's got great range. People think he might end up being like an Isaiah Simmons / Justin Simmons combo. That's kind of the comp that I'm seeing on him. But man, he's got all the traits. So if you're drafting traits, and this is what we talked about earlier with Trayvon Walker. I'm not a fan of Trayvon Walker either, because I'm not a guy that drafts traits. I'm a guy that drafts tape. Okay? And
he didn't pass your eye test. That's what I call the eye test.
Yes. So Kyle Hamilton, if you are drafting traits, man, no one compared. Trayvon Walker, Kyle Hamilton might have the best traits in the draft, and that's gonna get them some serious money. It's gonna have them land in the top 10. But to me, best safety in the draft, but I'm not taking him in the top.
Safety's
10.
not that important. No, definitely not.
But we are gonna see this guy taken
in the top 10.
In the top 10.
Probably the Giants. Because they're horrible organizations.
Dude, I hope the Giants, Philly, Washington, I am like,
those guys.
goose! CD is about to go nuts for the next couple of years because this guy hadn't put his measurables all on tape, in my opinion.
Now, PFN has, at number 8, and this kind of blew my mind.
Okay.
PFN's big board, number 8, is Aiden Hutchinson out of Michigan.
Yeah, so
number 8? What?
I'll say PFN, in my opinion, which is why we're doing a PFF mock draft. I think PFN's big board is trash, but that goes to show you that this is very, very subjective, Brian. Like, people watch this and like people are in love with Kyle Hamilton, in love with him, and I watched it and I'm like, this guy sucks. And he's going to be drafted in the top 10.
Now, in all honesty, I think anything that comes out of Notre Dame is overrated. Notre Dame's overrated, in my opinion. That might hurt you Notre Dame fans, but they are not. They got all this hype every year, and they don't. Yes, get in a conference. They don't win.
You quit handpicking crap. Get in a conference, all right?
And they don't win the big. They don't win the big games. They don't go to the championship. They, top 4 or 5, maybe here or there, but I think they're overrated.
Which leads me to the favorite position of the draft for me.
The wide receiver, baby.
Wide receiver. And I think we can both agree because we both need one. All right. And I think one of us is going to be happy at the end of day 1 or day 2, and the other one is not.
Sorry, I knocked my headphones out. Got a little too excited there.
We're both excited because we both have so y'all have some defensive line needs. Y'all need wide receiver. We have some offensive line needs, and we need a wide receiver. Now, we both know that the games are won in the trenches, but screw that. We're about the sexy pick, right? We want the diva. We want the guy that can come down with the ball. So I'm excited to talk about these next 2 guys. And so here's the deal. I have Garrett Wilson, number 9 on my big board. Wide receiver, Ohio State, 6 foot tall, 183 pounds. Dude is an athlete. He was a Division I recruit for basketball out of high school, not only
not even football.
This dude is just a stud athlete. A lot of comps have him compared to CeeDee Lamb. That's what a lot of guys are saying. They say that reminds them of CeeDee Lamb. Dude, surefire lock, best receiver in the draft. I do think this is debatable, which will take me to my number 10, which is Jameson Williams, wide receiver out of Alabama, 6'2", 179. Dude is a cheetah. Okay, so if you like yourself a Tyreek Hill type of receiver, then you want you some Jameson Williams. Now, here's the deal. If Jameson Williams does not get hurt and tear his ACL in the big game in the first half, I think we see this guy go in the top 5. But dude is recovering from from ACL tear. It's not as devastating as it used to be. And so I have Garrett Wilson and James Williams, 1A and 1B. To me, you can't go wrong with either one of them.
Exactly right.
If Williams didn't tear his ACL, I think that I would have put him above Garrett Wilson. Tape's very similar. Guys both play for a big-time program. Guys consistently beat those good cornerbacks. We saw just what that looked like when Cincinnati was playing Alabama. Williams was actually some of the sauce, and so early on in that game. And so this guy's a big-time wide receiver. I think either way you go there, if somehow I saw a mock the other day. Jeff Kavanaugh was talking about this. He does all that amazing draft stuff, and he was talking about how they. I think it might have been PFN. They got with a bunch of guys that are what they would consider, draft experts, which Jeff Kavanaugh would be. I'm just an amateur that likes to do this for fun. But they had them go through each team and pick a player. And somehow at 24, Garrett Wilson is on the board. And so Jeff
What?
ran that pick in real quick. And
Oh,
so I don't think there's any way that happens. However, 2 years ago, we were saying there was no way
CeeDee Lamb
falls to 17 with the Cowboys. And so you never know until you know on draft day. And so, but I think if either one of these guys falls to the Packers or the Cowboys, we would be absolutely thrilled with the pick. If we traded up, I would be fine with trading up for either one of these guys. I'm not a big fan of trading up. I like to stay and pick or trade down and acquire more talent. It's my preference. But there's a couple guys in this draft that I would be willing to trade up as a Cowboys fan, or I think that you as a Green Bay Packers fan, y'all should be willing to trade up for.
If
Wilson, Jameson Williams, Kayvon Thibodeau, the three guys I think are worth trading up for if they fall.
I'm not big on trading up either. If I'm trading up, I want it to be a guy that's for surefire thing, and those two wide receivers are amazing. There's one more too that I think is kind of close to them is Drake London. I really like him out of USC. Not as good as those two, but I think that's another guy too that I would love to see in the green gold. I don't think we move up, but this draft to me might be the craziest draft. We've already seen the craziest NFL offseason we've seen in a long, long time. I mean, maybe of all time.
Jump around, and I think you could see some big names like Deebo Samuel getting traded for on draft day.
Yeah, I totally agree.
2 first-round picks for Deebo Samuel.
2 first? Is that what you said?
Yes.
I mean, I wouldn't hate it because it's something that you don't see Green Bay do and go and get that guy that we know is a for sure stud. I would like to keep one. I would like to trade away our second, and maybe a 7th or something and keep our second first. I don't know if we'll be able to get away with that though.
Gotcha.
Keeping both.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to my 11 through 15 picks. And what I'll do so that we can make sure that we have plenty of time to get to our mock draft is I'll give you 3 or 4 at a time, and I'll just kind of give you some rapid fire on these guys, and then you can chime in and speak to any of the guys that you want to so that we can get through this, because I really want our people that are watching to see this mock draft. It's going to be a lot of fun for us. So my number 11 on my board is Trent McDuffie, cornerback, Washington, 5'11", 193. Solid tape, day one NFL starting cornerback in this league. He's a bit undersized. If he was a little bit bigger, people care about length these days. They want their Sherman. They want that guy. This guy is a solid corner, super mentally tough, very athletic, very, very good tape. So I think teams that are looking for a corner are going to love this guy and would love to have him on their team. Number 12 on my board, you got to remember there's positions that are more important than other. And so because of that, I'm taking this into account. So number 12, I've got Jermaine Johnson, edge, Florida State, 6'5", 254. Johnson is long, athletic defender. I mean, dude has big time traits. Day one defensive end starter. He's got some just average kind of explosion, but he's got the technique. And so I think this guy could end up being a really good guy. I think to me, I think when I see this guy play, I think it reminds me of DeMarcus Ware. He was a guy at Troy State that didn't have a lot of looks, was a 3rd or 4th defensive end in the draft, graded guy, and ended up being the best guy of the class because he just worked harder than everybody. So I see that when I see this guy on tape. And so my number 13 guy is Tyler Linderbaum. And this is a fun guy because this is a position, just like safety, that people don't put a lot of stock or a lot of value in. And so Tyler Linderbaum, center, Iowa, 6'2", 296. This dude has the best tape of any lineman, period, okay? But because of position, we have to move him down a little bit. But I've seen him ranked as low in the 30s. I don't know where PFN or PFF has him. I can't remember. But Tyler Linderbaum, to me, if the Cowboys turned in this draft card, I would be nuts because I think he is the next Travis Frederick. I really do.
He is number 16 on PFN's list.
Gotcha. So I'm
So
not.
somewhat close.
Yeah, but I saw him on one the other day. He was 30 or 40 something. And so here's why people are scared of him. He's got short arms. He's a little bit shorter for a center. Yeah, he has like 32-inch arms. So that's tiny arms for guys. So people are worried about the
T-Rex
leverage
arms?
part of it. Yeah, he's got T-Rex arms. That's absolutely right. But this guy is a sure lock. I think he's got Pro Bowl written all of it. And I'm just going to say right now, future Hall of Famer Tyler Linderbaum.
That's some bold praise, or he has some high expectations to live up to there, Ryan.
Right. So number 14 on my board is Derek Stingley Jr.
This is the guy I've heard a lot about. He's on a lot of big boards.
Quarterback, LSU, 6 foot, 190. Okay, so here's the deal with this guy. PFF, we'll do a mock later, has him rated number 2 on their board.
Wow.
They have him as the second best player in the draft. This guy is an NFL corner, but here's the deal. He quit after his freshman year. So here, you go look at 2019 tape. This guy is a lock, top 5 corner, future Hall of Famer. I'd be just excited about his tape as I am Tyler Linderbaum if I only watched his freshman tape. But then I watched these last 2 years, and I'm unimpressed. He's lazy. He knew that he was a lock for the first round. He's playing to not get hurt instead of actually playing. He had his eyes on the money, which I get, but man, he could be a Pro Bowl level starter in this league. But I think he's a big time gamble in the top 15. And I think we'll see him taken, because if you go watch the 2019 tape, Brian, and you watch that alone, you are stoked.
Yeah.
But then there's 2 more years to watch, and it's not the same guy. He's hurt. He's messed up a little bit. He's very, very ginger. And so Derek Stingley Jr. could be a top 5 pick. I would not be surprised.
Now he's on PFN. He's exactly at where you got him, number 14.
And and when we do PFF, you'll see him, he's number 2. So you can see these all over this place, but it's because people are scared of him. But if he's drafted in the top 5, I would not be surprised. But man, I think it's a huge risk if a team goes there. Number 15 on my big board, Drake London. I absolutely love this guy. Now I think here's where we might start getting realistic of a guy who could actually fall to us, Brian. Drake London, wide receiver, USC, 6'4", 219. I have him as the 3rd best wide receiver in this draft. Big guy, bro. He plays like Des Bryant. He's just going to go up and he's going to get the ball. And so I don't know how well he fits with the Dak Prescott, who likes a guy that gets space, because Dak is afraid of throwing the interception. But for a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who's not afraid to throw up the ball, this guy will go up and he will come down with the football.
This guy, I saw his highlights, and this guy makes every ball seem catchable. It didn't matter where it was. One-handed grabs over here, one-handed grabs over there. I really like this guy, and I think if Green Bay were to move up for him, I'd be fine with that. If we move up to the top 10, we might be able to get one of the other 2. But this is a guy that we could see fall further down. And I still think we're going to have to move up to get him, but maybe we don't have to give up as much to get Drake London than the
Cowboys
other
actually
guys.
brought him in for their top 30 visit list. I think that's wishful thinking, but Jerry Jones did say we would be looking to move up in the draft. And so when you're bringing guys like him in, you got to think that that's a guy they could be considering to move up for in a league where the Chiefs and the Packers and us all very desperately need a wide receiver. And so great pick there. Number 16, I've got our first linebacker being coming off the board, and Devin Lloyd, linebacker, Utah, 6'3", 237, Micah Parsons Jr. Okay, so this is what his tape looks like. He looks like a guy that is a lock NFL linebacker, big guy, long arms, super athletic, plays with strength. Look, he's a guy that has the build that you go put him at an edge. And so I think because of what Micah Parsons just did this year, you're going to see whoever ends up with this guy, they could possibly try to do the same things with him. But the Cowboys actually had this guy in. And so if you bring him in, you can just move him and Micah Parsons back and forth from edge to linebacker, or you might just stick this guy middle linebacker, let Micah Parsons go get the quarterback. But, man, this guy can absolutely play some ball. Amazing linebacker. And so be super happy to have him on my team. My number 17 guy is big boy, Jordan Davis. I think this is a guy that the Green Bay Packers could be really interested in. 6'6", 341, ran a 4.8 at
Yes.
340 pounds.
Insane.
That's like a brick wall hitting you. Now, when I look at tape, it's good tape, but I think you're going to see him because of how big he is. I think originally he would have been a late first round, early second round pick, but I think you're going to see this guy go in the 15 to 25 range because dude just blew up the combine. And so I have him. If you're 340 pounds and you can run as fast as me, man, I'm just going to pitch you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pitch you in my top 5. So super excited about that. And so number 18, I'm going to grab my charger, but I'll go carry this with me real quick.
No, you're done.
Chris Olave, wide receiver, Ohio State, 6 foot, 187 pounds. This guy is an absolute burner. And you know what, man? I think he's actually the most pro-ready wide receiver there is in the draft. I have him as wide receiver 4. I think his ceiling is way less higher than the other 3 guys that we said, but I think his floor is way like so. He's not going to be he's not going to bust on you. I don't think. I think he's going to be at least an average to above average guy. That's worst case scenario. He doesn't have as high as a ceiling, but I don't know if you're a ceiling guy or a floor guy, but you know what? His floor of where he could end up is a lot higher than other guys.
Right.
And so smooth route runner, gets separation.
This guy has been linked to Green Bay. He's actually
linked to the Cowboys as well.
In a lot of drafts, they have actually Green Bay staying at 22 and drafting this guy. I would love if we got this guy. This guy was the number 2 on OSU on Ohio State University. He put up good numbers. He's a great route runner, and he makes the wide receiver position look easy. Right. I would be glad with Chris Olave at number 22. I tell you what, though, Ryan, if we do not draft a first-round wide receiver, I think Green Bay's fans are going to riot. Okay, we haven't done it in a long time.
You have 2 picks. I don't think I think with your 22nd pick, you're taking a defensive tackle.
We need.
And I think with your second pick, you'll try to get a wide receiver.
We do need some defensive guys. I would hate to see Chris Olave go off the board at 20. Right after we pick a defensive end, and
he's
then
a guy that the Cowboys could potentially try to jump you for, and I would love it.
Burks or Olave.
Olave, or depending on there's 3 wide receivers that the Cowboys talked to: Drake London, Burks, and Olave. They brought them all into the top 30. Those are the only 3 wide receivers that they spoke to in the top 30 visits.
I can see y'all, Traylon Burks. London is a pipe dream, I think, for both of us.
Yes, I agree.
We would have to move up quite a bit to get him, but Olave and Burks are 2 guys that we could both, potentially end up with as Green Bay fan and a Cowboys fan. But I really like Chris Olave, a solid wide receiver. It's going to come out there. He's going to be consistent for you. I believe some mock drafts, didn't y'all? They have you picking your number 19 guy, George Karlaftis or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think that the Cowboys go with him. He's George Karlaftis, Purdue edge, 6'4", 266. Remember, defensive end just matters. And so this guy is violent, okay? And when I say violent, I mean violent. This guy plays with tenacity, 6'4", 266. I think this guy is going to make a team very, very happy. I do think that he is a lock to start. I do think he has a very, very high ceiling, low floor, high ceiling type of guy. A team would be happy with him. I would not want that pick because, there's so many more pressing needs for the Cowboys, but I have seen a couple mocks where he was linked to us. Now, if he's the best player on your board, I'm a guy that draft the best player on your board in the first round, but he will make some team happy, which leads me to number 20, which this guy's being really linked with the Cowboys. Kenyon Green, offensive guard, Texas A&M, 6'4", 323. Dude has the best tape of any offensive guard in the draft. And so Dude is just great. He's very linked to the Cowboys, and I just think that, man, if that's the pick, it's a great pick there. 20. And I'm gonna keep going, keep moving really quick here.
One guy, yeah.
What?
So we could get into these 40. One guy I did want to talk about though is coming up next. Is Traylon Burks, number 21.
Traylon Burks, yes,
a guy from Arkansas. From what I've seen from him, is he's done a bit of everything. Right, he's come out of the backfield for them, wide receiver. He's done a little bit of it all. But they used him quite a bit as a weapon in Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 100%. So his comp is Deebo Samuel, wide receiver, Arkansas, 6'2", 225. We know Jerry's going to be interested because of the Arkansas. But this guy, if you watch Deebo Samuel tape and you watch his tape, you're going to get really excited. Burks put up really big numbers with a terrible quarterback. And so people are going to complain about all he did is run slants and fades is because his quarterback was trash. And he didn't have – and that's basically all that they could absolutely run. Traylon Burks is my dream pick for the Dallas Cowboys. I know we need linemen, but he's my favorite guy in the draft because I just dream about what you could do with him. I'm going to get moving through these last 20 so that we have time to do our mock. But 22, Zion Johnson. And, man, this guy could play guard or center, much more athletic than Green out of Boston College, 6'3", 312. I think Green and Zion Johnson are interchangeable as the best guards in the draft. These last three guys are all guys 20, 21, 22. I think the Dallas Cowboys, if I was a betting man, one of these three guys will be the Cowboys pick. It'll be Traylon Burks, Zion Johnson, or Kenyon Green. These two and the Cowboys visited with all three of them there. Zion Johnson, Green, you can interchange the guys. The difference between the two, Green has the better tape. Johnson's more of an athlete, but Johnson has really good tape as well. I'd be happy with either one of those guys. Great pick. Number 23, I have Daxton Hill, cornerback, safety, Michigan. Small guy, but plays super athletic, really athletic guy. You're going to be happy to land this guy if you're looking for safety. But I would actually, if I'm going to put this guy somewhere, I would put him as a slot corner. I think that's sort of underrated, valuable position in the NFL. This guy could play either one of them, and man, you're gonna be super happy if you land with this guy. Trevor Penning. A lot of guys are. This guy keeps rising and rising on people's draft boards. I have him 24 over here, and Trevor Penning's offensive tackle, small school, Northern Iowa. He's 6'7", 325 pounds. This dude plays nasty. If I was thinking about like how nasty, like you think about how Ndamukong Suh, like how nasty of a player this guy is, like the dude's gonna stomp your hand and throw you across the field. This is Trevor Penning. He's rising among people because people just love the nastiness of this guy's tape. He'll make a team very happy that's looking for a starting offensive tackle. Me personally, I would give him a second-round grade. And here's what you'll learn about the draft. I don't know how much you've looked into it. In a typical draft, there's only 15 to 18 players, Brian, that have an actual first-round grade. And then after you get from that 15 to 18 range in the late first round, you're actually drafting guys that have second-round grades. The previous three great guys that I actually gave first-round grades to, but Trevor Penning, I have have the 24th best player on my board, but I actually gave him a second-round grade. I think he has some things to work on, but overall, I think we're going to see him go somewhere in the first round. And this makes me to my favorite pick, number 25, is Devontae Wyatt. Devontae Wyatt, man, he is a beast. Defensive tackle, Georgia, 6'3", 304 pounds. He wins in a lot of different ways. He's an impactful player, plays three technique, and this will be the Green Bay Packers pick at number 22. Get familiar with it because I will text you, told you so when it happens. He's actually, I heard today that some teams have taken him off their board because of character concerns. But I think this guy's tape's just too good. You're going to see him go eventually.
He's from Georgia, right?
What?
He's from Georgia.
I mean, that's where all the big talent for defense is.
Yes.
Finally, I'm getting to
a quarterback. Finally.
Number 26 and number 27, I'll talk about both these guys together. This is a terrible, terrible quarterback class. Pick your poison. Malik Willis, Liberty, 6'1", 219, can throw the ball, just an athlete, has the ability to be dynamic. But because he didn't play elite competition, that scares you a little bit.
Right.
And so that's why he could end up in the top 10 because he plays quarterback. But when I'm looking and valuing position versus all those things, I'd have to pit him where he belongs. And to me, it's number 26 on the board. And number 27, Kenny Pickett, quarterback, Pittsburgh, 6'3", 217, has an amazing, amazing arm. But he's got some tendencies to be kind of razzled under pressure, which could be a problem in the NFL. And he has tiny little bitty hands, okay? He was the only quarterback in this draft class that had smaller than 9-inch hands. Okay. So NFL teams are going to be worried about that. But if any other quarterbacks, this is a possibility, because teams are desperate for a quarterback. But if any other team of quarterbacks other than these two names are called in the first round, then it is an absolute reach.
Yes.
These are the only two guys that I would, and even then, if it's a top 10 or 15 pick, I think it's a massive gamble. Now, if you're late and you're a team like the Bucks, who know they need to find the heir apparent to Tom Brady here soon, then taking a gamble on like Kenny Pickett, I think is a great thing to do. But anything before that, I think is a huge gamble. But number 28, Nakobe Dean, linebacker, Georgia. Another Georgia player, 5'11",
Georgia
229,
defensive player.
athletic player. My opinion, best Georgia defensive player, period. Now, he's falling down the board because of his size. People don't want to draft a Dexter Coakley-sized linebacker. 5'11", 229. He's a small guy, but when you watch the tape, he's the first one to the ball. He explodes. Man, if you watch the guy's tape, you fall in love. Now, there's made some scouts a little worried because he refused to run the 40. He did not run the 40. He did not go do any testing. He knows that he has first-round tape, and he said, go watch the tape. But because of this, he's dropped a little bit, and because of his size, he's dropped a little bit. But, man, I think
another War Daddy.
Tape-wise, I'd rather have this guy than Devin Lloyd. But Devin Lloyd checks all the boxes when it comes to size, length, athleticism, all those things. But Nakobe Dean has better NFL tape.
Is he a War Daddy?
Yeah, he is an absolute. No, you can't call a linebacker. Only a defensive end.
Only a defensive end. Okay, I didn't know those were the stipulations.
All right, so here's the deal. If you go look up Sky Moore, he's number 29 on my big board. Sky Moore, wide receiver, Western Michigan. You're going to see him ranked all over the place. PFF has him 22. I think PFF has him 22. I think Pro Football Network has him like 70th or something like that. So you can see him as high as 22 and as low as 70th. But he's 29th on my board. Wide receiver, Western Michigan, 5'10", 195. Dude is a yak machine and just gets open. He is a baller. Honestly, if we get wiped out at receiver and our guards and all that stuff are gone and the Cowboys said, hey, he's the best wide receiver on the board, I would not be mad at this pick. He's the 5th best wide receiver in this draft, in my opinion. I think if he falls to 56, I would be jumping for joy. This is my dream pick at 56, but I think there's no way in heck he falls that far. I think the farthest you'll see this guy fall is late 30s, early 40s. That'd be so. If you'd have to trade up in day 2 to get this guy, if you want him for the Cowboys, if you don't pick him at 24, but dude is just straight a beast. And so, number 30, we're starting to get closer to the end of my board here. Andrew Booth Jr., cornerback, Clemson, 6 foot, 194 pounds. This dude is a starting corner in the NFL. His big problem and the reason he falls down the board a bit is the dude has a hard time staying healthy. And so, otherwise, top 15 to 20 guy based on tape, but the dude just consistently is hurt a whole lot. And so, risky pick in my opinion, but you'll see a team take a flyer on him late in the first round just because of the tape and because he played and he started for Clemson. And so at 31, I have Quay Walker, linebacker, Georgia, 6'4", 241. Okay, so here's the deal. I think he could end up getting drafted before his teammate, Nakobe Dean. His tape is not near as good, but his athletic traits are off the absolute chart. This is what people are looking at. Micah Parsons has everybody in love with trying to draft a 6'3", 6'4" linebacker now. And I think because of that, he's still got some things that he really needs to develop. But I think somebody will take a flyer on him late day one, if not early day two. You're going to see this guy get drafted by somebody, and somebody's going to love that pick. 32, Travis Jones. He's defensive tackle, Connecticut, 6'4", 325. Just a big body, clogging the hole, run-stopping machine, this guy is. So if you're looking for a run clogger, a guy that's going to help you clog up the gaps, if you have a problem stopping the rush, this is your guy. He's going to make you very, very, very happy. At number 3, I've got Bernard Raymond. This guy is flying up draft boards, okay? So offensive tackle guard, Central Michigan, 6'6", 303. He's a good project, but he's a risky first-round pick, and I could see the Cowboys doing something like this. And to me, it's huge risk, huge reward potentially. So he's only been playing offensive line for 2 years. He was a converted tight end. He was recruited as a tight end, and then they just decided to beef him up. And so he's only been playing lineman for 2 years. So has all the traits in the world, but very, 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 and when I mean very, very raw player. But you could see him sneak into the first round because people and teams just need offensive linemen. George Pickens, wide receiver, Georgia, 6'3", 195. It's my 34th guy. Just a great athlete. He has WR1 traits and potential, but he's coming off an injury as well from Alabama. And we know, not from Alabama, sorry, from Georgia. But we just know that Georgia and Alabama produce great athletes. And so this guy is a baller. He's coming off of the injury. This is why he's falling to where he is. Honestly, Brian, if your team picks him with your second first-round pick, you should not be mad at it. Although all the things say that he shouldn't be, this guy's a stud. Absolute stud. He's going to fall into the second round probably because of injury, but he has elite tape. Number 35, Dotson, wide receiver, Penn State.
I like him.
5'11", 178. This dude, he's just going to catch the ball. I think his NFL comp is Deontay Johnson probably. And I think we'll all take a Deontay Johnson on our team. Absolute stud. You're going to want this guy on your team. I'll get through these last 5 really quick for you. 36, Arnold Ebiketie, edge, Penn State, 6'2", 250. Another traits guy. Once you get this late into your board, you're starting to look for guys that could develop into NFL pass rushers. And so edge is something that you're always going to reach at. It's something that's very, very important. This draft is loaded with him. This guy has star potential, but he's not as polished as the other edges we've talked about in this. So I think he slides a little bit because of that. And so which makes me excited about number 37, because this is the first running back that I've talked about. Kenneth Walker III, running back, Michigan State. He's 5'9", 211 pounds, has vision, has balance. He led Michigan State to a defeat against Michigan. He projects as a day 1 NFL starter, but he'll probably be a day 2 pick. You'll probably see him taken early in the second round. But unless there's a team there that is late in the first round that just needs a running back, this is the only running back I think that you could potentially see taken on day 1, and he'd be a great player. My 38th player is Lewis Sine, safety, Georgia. Georgia just has all the defensive players.
They've all come from the Georgia's defense.
Yeah. 6'2", 199, got great range. He's Xavier McKinney is who he is. And so I think he'll make somebody a great player. And then I'm really excited about this, and I have him at number 39, David Ojabo, edge, Michigan, 6'4", 250 pounds. This guy is a top 15 pick, but he tears his Achilles at his pro day. How unfortunate. Why he's working out at a pro day when he's already got top 15 tape and he's already done the combine, I don't know. But somebody will take a shot at him in the second round. Might be my Dallas Cowboys. We love taking us an injured player.
Love taking shots.
Yeah, we love taking shots in the second round. This guy had top 15 tape before he tore his Achilles.
Maybe you're Jalen Smith 2.0, but maybe he actually works out this time.
Right. And then number 40, I had to put another quarterback on the board. This is the only other quarterback that could possibly sneak into the first round if a team is desperate with a third quarterback. It's Desmond Ridder, quarterback Cincinnati. Just a dude's a stud athlete, led his team to an undefeated season until they got and played some actual competition. But with quarterback, you've always got to realize that somebody could reach for them, and we could see that happen. And so this is my top 40. I hope that people watching, you enjoyed it. I hope that gives you some insight. Now, we'll do a mock draft for some fun real quick, and then we'll be done. And so we'll get out of here by 7 o'clock. But, man, it was fun going through that top 40 with you. I think it's going to be fun on Thursday night. I think any one of these guys, you could hear their name called on that night. And there might be a couple that I missed. And so I'll be interested to see how many I hit on and how many of the top 40 end up in the top 32 that I picked. So,
right now, I don't do a lot of mock drafts, and I've actually never done one. But because it's
really? Because I've already done probably 400 to 500 at this point.
Because it's a complete guess, and this is not like I don't play fantasy football. You think I would? I just don't.
No, I got to get you in my fantasy football league this year, dude. I'm a fantasy football champion right here.
Maybe you got to get me in. I'm just not big on this stuff, but I don't know. You think I would be? I'm just not. Right. So the mock drafts are a lot harder for me to hit on, and because I watch college football, but I'm not invested as much, obviously, as you are into it. I'm interested to see if we'll see a bunch of trades. Do we see? I just saw something that broke earlier that the Green Bay Packers are trying to trade in the draft for what's it called? Wallen, the tight end from Oakland. Derek
Waller?
Yes. We wanted him in the trade with Devontae Adams, but they couldn't trade him because of the franchise tag. So I heard that we could trade for him in the draft. I'm like, what?
Hey man, you don't need a wide receiver because you got a wide receiver who happens to play tight end. So
yes, a great tight end. So I'm interested to see those things. People move up, people move down.
Yeah, I think if you trade for Darren Waller, then you are locked to take a defensive tackle.
We do need a defensive tackle. We do need some help on that side of the football, definitely. And I'm fine with taking a Georgia player, especially because they're all pretty much beasts. But I want a wide receiver. I want that sexy pick first. I want help for Aaron Rodgers on the offensive side because we don't have any wide receivers right now. So I think we need it. And we haven't drafted a first-round wide receiver since – I have no idea because it's been that long. I mean, it's been ages. We haven't used a first-round pick to help out the offensive side of football since we got Rodgers and made a splash move, and that's only because he fell into our laps and not because we actually moved up and did something about it. But I do like what Brian Gutekunst has done with us. Every draft pick he's had has been really fantastic, except Jordan Love. But other than that, it's been pretty good.
Talk about garbage draft pick. That was a waste of a first-round pick. You could have a stud wide receiver right now with that.
It was a waste if you thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be, because Aaron Rodgers, whether people want to admit it or not, was kind of falling off. And then we drafted a quarterback.
You motivated him to be good again.
Yes, and exactly. And if that did the job, then maybe it wasn't such a waste. But to each its own. Maybe he gets traded. Maybe we trade him for DK Metcalf out of Seattle. Give them a quarterback. I don't know what's going to happen. Baker Mayfield's still out there, not knowing what's going to happen with him. We got lots of potential trades that could go down. And that's what makes not only.
I think we could see lots of trades on draft night. And so as we do this mock draft, we're going to do it without doing any trades.
Yes,
it'll take way longer if we start doing trades, but we'll just do it as it sits with team need. But you could obviously see somebody like, I could see the Cowboys trading down to 31, acquiring another top 100 pick, and still getting their guard there at 31. And so But if you want to pull it up and share it on the screen here, we'll go ahead and we'll pick and we'll alternate, and I'll let you have the number one overall pick.
Let me have the one overall pick. I can't share. I can't share it on the screen just yet. I don't know how to. It's embarrassing. My settings on the Apple computer, and I don't know how to go in and change those to allow me to share stuff on the screen.
Okay, gotcha. So here's the deal. So let me pull it up so that we can both be looking at it together, so I know which player's been taken, and we'll go ahead and do this through PFF simulator together. So if you want to go ahead and we'll just do the first round, and then just select all teams because we're going to pick for all teams. And then
you want me to pull up the simulator too?
Yeah, if you want to pull that up so that we can both be looking at it at the same time, and then we can go through it together. So go ahead and enter this draft. And so let's go ahead and start it. All right, so Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. And
okay,
so
well,
you get this pick, Ryan, and
I'm trying to find this simulator that you're talking about here.
Just PFF mock draft simulator. You can pull it up on your phone if you need to. It pulls up really quick.
Sorry, guys.
No, while you're doing that, so here's the deal. Even when you're looking at,
okay, I got you.
Gotcha. When you're looking at these different simulators, they can't all agree, but this one's a really, really good one. It's got some good team need stuff. I disagree with a lot of the rankings, but overall, I think
Jacksonville. I'm leaning. It says they need a defensive line, linebacker, safety.
They're going to take an edge, number one. So which one do you want to take? Do you think they're taking Walker? Do you think they're taking Thibodeau? Or do you think they're taking Aiden Hutchinson?
I'm going to go with Hutchinson. I think he's the best pick for them. Oh,
okay.
It kind of filled in. Okay.
So there we go. We got Detroit Lions now on the clock. And so I think Detroit Lions, they need a quarterback, but this is way, way too early for them. They need a linebacker. They need a defensive back. But I think ultimately, I think they're just going to be too enamored with the position. And so I think that we're probably going to see them take Trayvon Walker, who's number 12 on the PFF board. So we're going to take Trayvon Walker here at number 2 for the Lions. I think anytime you can add elite edge rushing capabilities, you just got to take it. And so I think Detroit's they've got 2 first-round picks, and they're going to jump at the opportunity to take Trayvon Walker here. Which leads you to the Houston Texans, who need, this is hilarious, needs for Houston Texans, every position.
Every position.
It says every position. So you could take anybody you want here, and it would be a major upgrade to that team. And so who do you want to take here for Houston, Brian?
Let's see. I honestly think
use some offensive line.
Yeah, I think they're going to go offensive line with the way this is just a loaded offensive line draft. I'm going to think they're going to go with the tackle out of Alabama, Evan Neal. I think this is a solid pick, a guy that is just day one ready. You were singing his praises earlier, but this is the guy that I think is going to jump in here and help out this horrible offense Houston Texans team. Unfortunately, the guy that gets drafted to Houston, you're not going to go win, but this could be a piece that's going to stick around for years to come and help build this team back up.
Okay, so this is fun. So that leads us to the New York Jets, who have number 4 and number 10. And they need a wide receiver in a bad way. I think you could see the Jets trade for a Deebo Samuel ultimately, or you could see them try to trade for a wide receiver because they've been in every talk. But I think when we get to the Jets here, I think they're going to wait till pick 10 to pick their wide receiver. But right here, I think they have no choice but to take Iquanu, North Carolina State tackle here. I think it's a lock. I think that will be their pick right there. They're going to get some protection for that young quarterback over there. So I'm going to go get him off the board. So at number 5, this is where it gets fun for you.
Number
I think
5.
you got the New York Giants who have pick 5 and they have pick 7. They desperately need offensive line. And to me, the best offensive line on the board is Charles Cross. They could use some edge help. So Kayvon, I think here you could see Charles Cross or Kayvon Thibodeau.
I am going with Thibodeau.
You're going to take Thibodeau here, number 5 overall.
I am going to take Thibodeau at number 5 overall. Look, the Giants, when they won their Super Bowls back in the day, it was that defense. This guy comes in here.
Daniel Jones gets no help here at 5. We're going to go get a defensive edge.
No help at number 5. Look, we got to pick number 7 coming up. We can get him some help there. They're already looking to trade their other wide receiver and Tony and try and trade him away, which I hope Green Bay kind of reaches out for him. So they're going to get the edge to get to the quarterback, and I think Thibodeau is a perfect fit for them.
Gotcha. So which leads us to the Carolina Panthers. This is where we could see our first quarterback.
Yes.
Taken off the board here.
Yes.
And I'm going to do it because I think that they're desperate enough to do it.
Now, which one are you thinking?
So we're going to take Malik Willis here.
Okay.
At number 6. And I think it's a terrible move. But I think they've drafted defense the last couple of years. Defensive heavy draft. I think they need their quarterback and they need him now. And so we're going to take that Liberty quarterback, which leads us up to the Giants here at number 7. And you still got that offensive line, Charles Cross, sitting there on the board for you if you want to take him for the Giants.
You do. You do have an offensive line, but I don't think they go offensive line here, Ryan.
So what position are you looking at?
I think they go wide receiver.
You think they go wide receiver here, even though they desperately need offensive line?
They're the Giants.
And you're going to leave Charles Cross on the board. All right, which wide receiver are you taking?
Well, who do they have at wide receiver? Who are they going to throw the ball to?
Well, they're trying. It was rumored this week that the wide receiver that they drafted in the first round last year is up for trade, so they could potentially be in the wide receiver market.
Right.
Hey, this is your pick, not mine. I personally think they'll wait to the second round and they'll shore up that offensive line, but they could absolutely take a wide receiver here, and so. If that's the case, I think the pick is either Charles Cross or they go between they either pick between Jameson Williams or they go with Garrett Wilson. So, but this is your pick. If you think they're going receiver, Brian, we'll have fun with this on Thursday.
I'm going ballsy and give me Garrett Wilson, wide receiver. I think they want a guy they can throw the ball to.
Thanks for stealing my pipe dream of him falling to 24, okay?
They've got to have somebody to throw the ball to. Look, they need a whole new quarterback as well, but that's beside the point here. I think either it's offensive line for them or it's a wide receiver. If we want the fun, let's give me Garrett Wilson, wide receiver.
Yeah, got him off the board for you. All right, so it leaves us to Atlanta Falcons at number 8. They need quarterback, they need guard, they need center, they need defensive line, they need cornerback. This is a no-brainer. You got Sauce Gardner on the board. Him and Cross are the best players on the board, in my opinion, here that are still here, and Cross is sliding a little bit. But man, I think they're going to run to the board and they're going to be ecstatic about drafting Sauce Gardner in Atlanta. So at number 8, Sauce Gardner going to the Atlanta Falcons, which goes to number 9, Seattle Seahawks, which now, because I took a quarterback, they could be panicking because they are another quarterback team. So could they take Kenny Pickens this early at number 9, or do they go ahead and draft Charles Cross? Because their two biggest needs are quarterback and tackle. They could go Derek Stingley Jr. because they could use a corner here. But, Brian, this isn't my pick. This is your pick, sir.
Yes, they could use a quarterback. Yes, they need a lot of help. Are they going to reach for Pickett here? I don't think so. I think they pick Derek Stingley Jr. We all know that their head coach is all for defense. Give me the Legion of Boom.
Charles Cross is going to continue to slide down this board for us.
Slide down the board. He'll probably get picked up pretty soon. Derek Stingley Jr. I think he gets picked. I think it's a little, maybe not a reach, but Their
Sometimes
coach,
people have him rated as a top 2 player, So you watch 2019, you see a top 2 or 3 player.
yeah,
And it's definitely, it fits the need. They need quarterback, tackle, edge, and cornerback. So it fits a team need.
it,
I probably would have
it,
gone Cross here, but I don't think Derek Stingley's a bad pick.
their head coach loves defense, so I'm
All
gonna
right.
stick there. Go ahead with the New York Jets at number 10. They got 2 top 10 picks. The Jets this year.
All right. So I
Who'd you
think
pick for them earlier? You went
earlier, yes, I can look at it for you real quick. For earlier, I picked them the tackle Iquanu out of North Carolina
That's
State,
right.
who's an
That's right.
absolute beast. So they've got some protection there. But at
I
this
think they
point,
need
I think
I think they need a wide receiver. They've got to
they
have
need a wide
someone.
receiver. I think that they go. I really, really like Jameson Williams, but I think this is the Jets, and I think the Jets do Jets things. And so at number 10, give me Drake London over Jameson Williams.
Oh wow. Okay, that
And
was
I
my.
think it's because they say that they don't want to wait on an ACL, and so they take a guy that's a little less talented because he's healthy. Health matters to a lot of teams, and so doesn't matter to my Dallas Cowboys. But number 11, the Washington Commanders. They could use a quarterback, they could use a guard, they could use a center, they could use a linebacker. Apparently, they're really in love with Devin Lloyd here. But I could see them actually picking a wide receiver here just to play keep away from the Cowboys. They could do a lot of different things here, Brian. But hey,
well, the talks here had them, or the screen I'm looking at had them really interested in Drake London, which I think would be a really good pick for them. I forget they got Carson Wentz. I'm like, who's their quarterback again? It's Carson Wentz.
yeah, Carson Wentz. And so Jameson Williams is the best receiver I think that we have on the board, but they could go for, if Cross is on the board, you could see them run that in. He's just such a good talent, and it falls to them at 11. But you could see them going Devin Lloyd here. That's not too far of a reach. And they love them some safeties. They had Sean Taylor in the past. You could see them. Kyle Hamilton is starting to slip on the board a little bit for us. Because we saw a quarterback taken and saw Derek Stingley get taken. And so you got Charles Cross, Kyle Hampton, Jameson Williams, Trent McDuffie, Devin Lloyd. What you want to do here?
Oh, let's see. Well, they don't need any defensive line help. They're for sure good there. Do they need offensive line?
They need a guard and they need a center. So you could see them take Tyler Linderbaum, who's the best center here.
You could see it. I don't think he goes off the board that early.
They love them some safeties.
They do.
And they got some talented guys on the board.
I could see Kyle Hamilton. Give me Kyle Hamilton, safety out of Notre Dame, right?
I think this is where we're going to see him in. Even though it's not a huge team need, I think they're going to be there at 11, and they're going to be in love with the idea of having another Sean Taylor.
Yep, I can see that.
All right, number 12, Minnesota Vikings. They need a guard. They need a center. They need an edge. They need a cornerback. And so George Karlaftis has been really linked to Minnesota, and it's been rumored that they really, really like this guy. So I'm going to continue to leave Charles Cross on this board. And Jameson Williams, they're both free-falling right now, but give me George Karlaftis here at number 12 because I know the team is interested. I know it's a big team need, and he's been highly linked to them. I think they won't be able to help themselves because these guys got some amazing potential.
And what does he play?
He's an edge out of Purdue, and so
okay. That's right. That's a weird name one. Okay.
And in Houston Texans, every position. Remember earlier, what did we decide to take for them earlier in this draft? They took Evan Neal. They straight up tackle. It seems like they could use some help for that young quarterback because they're going to go with him. So they could definitely be a team that goes Jameson Williams. They could be a team that's interested in Trent McDuffie. They could be a team that's interested in Devin Lloyd. I could see Houston Texans just going best available every time they pick, to be honest with you, because they just have so many needs. Right. So what do you think here? Do you think Trent McDuffie, cornerback, Jameson Williams, wide receiver, Charles Cross, tackle? They've already drafted a tackle earlier, so I don't think they would draft two tackles in a row.
No, give me the best wide receiver on the board, Jameson.
All right,
Williams.
which would you agree that that's Jameson Williams then?
Yes. They need
Right.
some offensive. They need some wide receiver help.
We're taking our receivers off the board, bro.
Yeah.
To me, this is an easy pick. The Baltimore Ravens really need a corner. Trent McDuffie's the best corner on the table. He's the 11th ranked player on their board. He's the 11th ranked player on my board. Charles Cross is still sitting there, but it's not a need for the Ravens. So I think they go with Trent McDuffie. I love that we actually, like real life draft scenario, we have a guy that's falling right now. Philadelphia. I hate this, but I think Devin Lloyd is going to end up at a Philadelphia Eagle, is what I think.
They are linked to him. They need some defensive help, and I'm going.
They need linebacker and defensive back are their biggest needs.
I'm going to pick the linebacker from Utah.
Devin Lloyd. I hate this pick, Brian. They're going to get them a beast player, but I think he's ultimately going to end up with them. Then you got New Orleans, who needs a wide receiver. They need a tackle. They need a quarterback. At this point, they are going value. They cannot believe that Charles Cross is falling to them
Still on the board.
Away at 16. This is like a CeeDee Lamb type plummet. Guy, top 10 talent. Surefire starter. They need a tackle. They were looking at wide receiver, quarterback, but then they see Charles Cross on the board, and they just can't help their stuff. They've got to run this card in, and they're running it in quick. Charles Cross at number 16. They don't even think twice about it. Number 17, the Chargers. They need a wide receiver. They need a tackle, and they need a cornerback here. So what are they going to do here, Brian? They got Chris Olave, which is they really, really like. You've got Bahard Raymond, that tackle out of Central Michigan that's been traveling up the board. You got Penning, I think we still got on the board.
Yes, I think they go Trevor Penning out of northern Iowa.
All right.
Help out their offensive line needs.
Yep, I think you should do. So we got Philadelphia back on the board, and I get to pick this time. And man, they got other linebacker a while ago, so I really could see them at this point just trying to play keep away from the Dallas Cowboys since they have little brother syndrome. But I think Philadelphia just loves defensive linemen way, way too much, and they're going to see Jordan Davis, that dude that can run through a brick wall, runs his 4.8 at 340 pounds. And so give me Jordan Davis at 18, and I think Eagles are happy, and they just solidified a really, really good defense. So Jordan Davis is now off the board, which leads us back to the Saints. They're back on the clock. I'm over these guys. They have 2 picks. They ran, and they got Charles Cross a while ago. And so now this team right here, they need a quarterback. They've addressed tackle. Now we just addressed it for them. So they need a quarterback, and they need a wide receiver. Do they go Kenny Pickens here? Or do they pick the wide receiver? Because there's only, at this point, they're at 19. There's only one quarterback that's left that's worth a first-round pick, and we're at 19. Or do they go wide receiver here?
Oh, see, I honestly think the Steelers are going to take Kenny Pickens at pick number 20.
So
I think they go with a wide receiver, and I want to keep Chris Olave off the board because I think
they're taking Chris Olave. I would say I don't want him to go off the board either, but I think they take.
I think he's going number 19, Chris Olave. I honestly think the Steelers are going to go gamble with a quarterback, but this is your pick, Ryan, with them.
All right, yeah, I agree with you. Kenny Pickett off the board, number 20 overall.
All right.
So number 21, New England Patriots. They need wide receiver. They need edge. They need linebacker. They need corner. This is your pick right here. But if I know Bill Belichick, I think he runs to the board and takes in the Kobe Dean because he's a guy that values tape. And so if I were in your pick, I would take Kobe Dean here because they desperately need a linebacker, and he's arguably the best player on the board at this point. But they could go wide receiver, but I don't see them taking a guy like Burks here at this point.
Trent McDuffie's already picked cornerback.
Andrew Booth Jr. is the best corner on the board right now. The guy that has all the tape but can't stay healthy. I don't see Belichick.
That's not a Bill Belichick guy. Give me the guy you said.
N'Kobe Dean.
Yeah. Give me him.
Yeah, I think that they would be super happy. All right, I'm gonna let you have some say on this one since
All right. Well, the Green Bay Packers, their wide receivers
at
off the board,
22,
they really want.
With the way this draft fell, and Traylon Burks being the highest receiver left, and y'all kind of getting wiped out.
Yes,
I
wide
think
receiver
the points,
group is gone basically right now.
Well, there's still some good wide receivers,
not gone, but
there could be a wide receiver that's got at 28 that's going to be just as good as the wide receiver you get at 22. I personally think that the guy that I've been telling you
defensive tackle help that you said,
Devontae Wyatt.
Yes, I'll take
Georgia,
him.
22.
Georgia,
I think he's the pick.
Take him.
And he's one of the best players I have on the board left at this point. So, which takes me to 23. Arizona Cardinals. They've got they need a guard, they need a center, they need a cornerback. I think this is where Tyler Linderbaum finds home. I think they get Tyler Linderbaum. They send him to Arizona. I think he's the center for the Arizona Cardinals and has his Hall of Fame career with them. Unfortunately.
All right. Dallas Cowboys.
Right, so now here I am with the Cowboys, and I've got all three players that they've been linked to. You've got Kenyon Green, you've got Traylon Burks, and you've got Zion Johnson. All three guys that I think that they really, really want are available. And so can Jerry Jones help himself? Arkansas alum, Burks is sitting there. He's the only first round wide receiver that they have left on their board. And then you've got the two guards. I think Jerry Jones knows that the fan base is upset with him, and while we need a guard very, very badly, I don't think he'll be able to help himself. I think we draft Traylon Burks here, number 24 overall, which makes number 28 really hard for Brian over there. But Buffalo Bills are needing a wide receiver, and they need a defensive tackle. You've got Sky Moore, which I don't think would go this early to them. I think you could see them pick somebody like George Pickens. He fits their MO.
Do they need an edge? They don't need an edge, the defensive end?
Dude, here's the deal. What you need to realize is that any team is subject to take a defensive end at any time if they like a defensive end. But who are the best defensive ends that we have left on the board? Jermaine Johnson, edge Florida State, who I have number 12 on my board, and PFS has number 32, is still sitting there. So this is incredible valuable position at this point.
What about David Ajabo?
I would not pull the trigger until the second round with the torn Achilles if it were me.
Okay.
So Jermaine Johnson to me would be a lock. But I mean, I've got Nick Bonito that I didn't even talk about. That was probably 41 or 42 for me. It's a great edge, still on the board. But as far as my rankings go, my number 12 overall player, Jermaine Johnson, is still sitting on the board here.
Let's see. Is Andrew Booth Jr. out of Clemson, the cornerback, on the board?
Yep, he's still available right there.
Give me that. I think they need some help in the defensive backfield. I've seen a couple mocks having him pick either a safety or cornerback. So give me that guy for the Buffalo Bills to help out on defense.
All right. So Tennessee Titans. They need a guard. They need a center. They need an edge. They're gonna wipe me out. They're gonna hurt my feelings. They're gonna take my boy Zion Johnson right here.
Some good value there.
Tampa needs a guard, a center, or a defensive guy. I personally think if they're sitting here and the Cowboys let both those guards go by and one of them's taken and Kenyon Green's still sitting there, I think that they would run that pick in. But this is your pick, not mine. They need defensive. They need defensive tackle, they need a guard, and they need a center.
Let's see.
And my number 12 overall guy is still on the board.
And who's that?
Jermaine Johnson, the edge out of Florida State.
Well, Jordan Davis, is he still on the board?
Nope, we took the Eagles took him.
The Eagles took him. Well, Jordan Davis is taken. They need. Let me look.
Best defensive tackle. Let's look. Travis Jones out of Connecticut, the run stuffing guy. What did I have him at on mine? I had him at 32 on my board, so 27 wouldn't be too high. In fact, PFF has him ranked 27, and this is pick 27. So this could be a guy that they definitely look in. Travis Jones. You've got.
Then go with it. That's fine.
All right. So we leave that guard. All right. So now we've got Green Bay on the clock. They've been wiped out at wide receiver. They need offensive line, but you've got Jermaine Johnson, that edge, still sitting there, Brian. I'm going to let you have some say on this one because I ended up with the both your picks.
I'm rescuing the Green Bay fan base from rioting. I'm picking a wide receiver.
So no matter what, you're picking wide receiver here.
Sky Moore.
You're picking Sky Moore over George Pickens.
George Pickens is defensive end, right?
No, George Pickens is the wide receiver out of Georgia.
Out of Georgia?
Who has incredible tape, but has had struggle staying healthy. I have Sky Moore related higher, but typically, Brian, we don't see your Green Bay Packers pick small school guys.
We don't. I
think Sky Moore's the better player, but I think they would pick George Pickens here. Or Dotson out of Penn State. I think they would like both those guys.
Well, actually, I forgot Dotson's on the board. Give me Dotson because we actually brought him in. We like him a lot, Dotson. If they don't go wide receiver here, I could see them going in the second round and getting maybe Christian.
Okay. This is your pick again with Kansas City, number 29. Right here, they need wide receiver, they need defensive line, they need quarterback. They've got back-to-back picks, and so you've got Sky Moore. You've got what corners do we have available still on the board because they desperately need a corner. You got Petrie. You've got Daxton Hill, that guy who can play safety or corner here, who was my number 20th overall prospect, still on the board here. I do think I could see them go. I think they would go Daxton Hill. And then a receiver next.
Daxton Hill, and then maybe Sky Moore. Yeah, guy that gets separation quick.
A guy that's a lot like the guy that they just traded.
Yeah.
So they go Daxton Hill, and then they go Sky Moore here. And then so we're at pick 31. Cincinnati needs a guard, and they need a center.
Cornerback, right? A center.
Yeah, and Kenyon Green is on the board, so I think this is a lock. Cincinnati is so thrilled and happy to take Kenyon Green here. But what do you think, Brian?
For the Bengals, yeah, I mean, they obviously their biggest need's been offensive line. They've helped,
and they've addressed it in free agency. But I think Kenyon Green sitting there, they're like, man, we can make this offensive line elite with what we already have.
I agree with that. Or if I'm not going offensive line, I'm going to help out the secondary and the defense. The best cornerback available. Or safety, I think still too high take. Safety you can get in the second or third round.
Kenyon Green here?
Is he the best cornerback?
No, Kenyon Green is the guard out of A&M.
The guard.
Best cornerback available would probably be Aleem out of Florida. Jalen Petrie could be a guy they'd take here. I have both those guys as second-round guys, in my opinion. Kenyon Green.
Then I would probably go with offensive line because they do need it. They do need it, and you can never have too much. And they did address their biggest needs in offensive line in the offseason. So I go offensive line or someone in the defensive backfield, but leaning more offensive line.
So you got Detroit Lions here. They got an edge earlier. They need DB help, but it's probably a little too early. They've got the 40th and 41st pick in the second round. So I think they'll do some of that stuff here. But ultimately, I think that they go and get their linebacker right here. And I think the last pick of the first round, you see Quay Walker, linebacker, Georgia, taken. Number 32 overall. I have number 31 on my big board, which means that my number 12 overall player
is still on the board.
just made it into the second round. And that's because we saw two quarterbacks who didn't belong being taken, cost the guy like and so after end of night one, that guy is still sitting on the board, Brian. I'm telling you, there's teams calling trying to trade for 33 right away.
Well, you look at I'm interested to see because there was a report that said if the Browns cut Baker Mayfield, the Steelers would sign him next day. I don't think the Browns are just going to cut him. I think they're going to trade him and try and get something for him. But
nobody's wanting to trade for him because they know that the Browns forced their hand.
Yes,
because every team knows now Deshaun Watson is your starting quarterback. So you have to trade him. You have to get rid of him. Baker's not going to play for you. He's not going to accept a backup role. So take my 4th round pick and be happy with it, or shut up and cut the guy. Because it's the same thing with Amari Cooper. We couldn't get the compensation that we deserved for him because every team knew we couldn't hold on to his contract. So they said, screw you, Dallas. Take our 5th round pick and be happy with it.
Yeah, that you got something.
You're about to get a taste of your own medicine because you did it to my Cowboys, and now the NFL is going to do it to you. They're going to say, hey, this guy's not going to be on your team next year. So
why would we trade for him? Right.
5th round pick, and you can be happy, or you can just cut him because you're going to do it anyway.
I think he could. Obviously, to me, I think he's better than Mitch Trubisky. I think Steelers would be great to pick him. Now, I don't think they go out and get Baker if they're drafting Pickens like we weekly projected them to pick in the first round. So it's all going to depend on that. And I just Mitchell Trubisky is not the answer there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett is I think a lock at 20.
You think a lock? Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like him to go to Pittsburgh. I like his arm. He's more of a pocket passer, and then Mills is it? What's his name? The other quarterback that you had going.
Liberty University. Malik Willis has a cannon arm, can run, super athletic.
That's the thing. He's more.
He's Lamar Jackson with a better arm.
Yes. And is he as electric as Lamar Jackson?
I mean, I don't. Yes, on tape, but his competition is not near what Lamar faced.
Yeah.
So that's where it gets very, very, very difficult with him. And so, man, I'm super excited about this draft that's coming up. I hope that you get wiped out at receiver like you did today. And
I hope we don't.
And then you go defensive tackle there at 22. Because I don't think y'all like Burks. I don't think you're going to pick him.
I don't think we do either. I think if we're going to go for a guy like Burks, we might as well trade for Deebo Samuel, the guy that can do kind of a little bit of everything. Although that's the reason.
If this scenario happens, I could see y'all using your 2 picks and drafting up a few spots.
Well, we have 2 picks in the first round, so that makes me think that we're going to use them. Mark Murphy, who's a guy I don't like, but Mark Murphy said the draft is going to be very interesting. So I'm expecting something big, but that doesn't happen in Green Bay. Now, Brian Gutekunst has moved down before and picked great players. He's moved up and got Jair Alexander, a guy who's one of the best cornerbacks in the league. So he's made some great picks. We do need some safety help as well, some defensive help. We obviously need some wide receivers. There was rumor, like I said earlier, trying to trade for tight end in Oakland, Waller.
Dude, if y'all got Waller, that would be absolute.
He's a beast.
Nuts offseason, but he's a guy that has struggles to stay healthy, man. And
so always running that risk. But I don't know how much we're willing to trade for him, and then we got to pay, his contract and all that stuff. But we got to replace the best wide receiver in the NFL, so that's gonna be tough.
He was the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Well, yeah, last season.
Now he's gone to the place where all good players go to die. The Raiders.
I think they'll be good next year.
I think he'll be good, but not great.
Probably. I mean, they've got a lot of weapons there to pass around.
Carr's not Aaron Rodgers, bro.
Oh, no, definitely not. Not close.
And that matters.
Yes, it does. Well, all right, guys. This has been a fantastic episode. Ryan, I want to thank you for jumping on. I appreciate having you on the show. And Ryan will be back to talk more football and basketball and other things. Maybe get him in on the championship.
I'd love to have an
of the
episode just
NBA.
about Luka Doncic and his greatness.
We can do that. We can do that because it is greatness that we were watching. I'm surprised though. I turned on and watched the game the other night, and he comes back and they lose by 1 point. I'm like,
I actually told all my buddies I expected the loss because I think anytime you disrupt chemistry after back-to-back big wins, it can be a thing. And I think in the first half, you saw it. We were ice cold. We couldn't make shots. Our offense was struggling. And then we came back and started playing good, but we would have blown them out had we not playing like that in the first half. So I expect to win the next 2 games, but I did pick us to lose game 4 in a close one, and I was right.
Brunson should have drove that when he had
100%.
the ball.
The second they doubled Luka, Brunson should have drove instead of pass it back to Luka.
Yeah.
And he probably would have drawn a foul. But here's the deal: if Dwight Powell just makes the free throws, game over. But
but look at the other side of the ball, and if I'm drawing a blank on his name, Gobert makes his free throws, that he probably put it away a little earlier.
That's true too.
5-point lead,
100% true too. But Luka hit that 3 with 40 seconds left. You thought it was game over, but
dude, that was nice. Yeah.
But we will have an episode about basketball after we win this series. Maybe I can jump back on and talk about how we're going to the Western Conference Finals.
Hopefully. But yeah, Ryan Sims this is his Super Bowl NFL draft. Look forward, guys. Craig might do a show tomorrow solo, but he will be on the draft night, Thursday night, our first ever Outspoken Sportscast live reaction to anything. He's gonna watch the first round draft, give you his commentary and any insight he might have on that. So look forward to watching that. And then Friday, me and Jeff will have an episode that covers the draft, anything that happened, and go from there. But yes, super exciting time of the year. And I also we gotta take another time to explain my jump over onto the Luka bandwagon.
We absolutely do. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed it that's watching tonight. And man, it was fun talking draft with you. I'm excited about Thursday. It's going to be phenomenal. But man, it was fun with you tonight. I hope you have a good night, and hope everybody that's watching has a great night. And happy draft day coming up. And go Cowboys! And let's get us a wide receiver.
Happy draft day, guys. Hope you have a rest of your a great week, and God bless, guys. Take care.